This woman spent the bulk of her pregnancy in overcrowded Senegalese prison cells. Awaiting trial, she would share a mattress with up to 3 other women. Now she's back at home, thanks to what's being hailed as a first in West Africa. She's being monitored via an electronic bracelet.
There are
a lot of women over there, and there's no place for you. The most you can do is help women get home, even if it has to be with a bracelet. Give the woman the bracelets, because women belong at home.
Like most countries in Africa, Senegal's prisons are old, overcrowded, and unable to manage thousands incarcerated for petty crimes or those in pre-trial lockup. This year it launched the Electronic Supervision Pilot Scheme. The government says it is the first in West Africa to do so. Lieutenant Moussa Dieye leads the prison monitoring team at a command centre in Dakar.
So, first and foremost, the aim is to combat prison overcrowding. So today you have 200. That's the equivalent of a big prison. We've already replaced a big prison because people are getting out. 200 is extraordinary.
If successful, Senegal's electronic monitoring could become a blueprint for other countries with clogged jails. The inmate population exceeds prison capacity in 42 out of 47 African countries and territories where data is available, according to the World Prison Brief database. But there are also concerns. Seydi Gassama, head of Amnesty International in Senegal, says there are many African countries where ankle monitors could be useful. But he added that it's not a solution to the problem of the continent's overcrowded prisons.
Which is a problem of insufficient staff training, and above all, a need for an increase in the budgets of the ministries of social welfare, which are generally the smallest budgets in any country on the continent.
Critics also say underlying causes include harsh punishments for minor crimes and slow-moving judicial systems. Another issue cited is that the bracelets require charging, excluding people in poorer areas without access to electricity. And rights groups also warn that in authoritarian regimes, they may be used for surveillance purposes. A record number of people are expected to go hungry in West and Central Africa next year, the United Nations has warned. 49.5 million, a rise of 4% due to a combination of high food prices, climate change, and conflict. Millions have been displaced by insurgent violence in the Sahel region, in addition to multiple ongoing conflicts in Democratic Republic of Congo. Olo Sib, a senior research advisor at the UN's World Food Programme, said 80% of those currently affected by food insecurity live in conflict zones.
We
also witness the impacts of climate change. For instance, this year there have been prolonged periods of halted rainfall in certain areas, resulting in significant crop losses for local farmers.
A WFP regional security analysis said more than 2 out of 3 households in West and Central Africa cannot afford healthy diets. It said the cost of a daily nutritious diet in countries like Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger is 110% higher than the daily minimum wage.
Economic challenges such as soaring prices, inflation and currency devaluation in some countries have made it exceedingly tough for many households to regularly access food.
Sib warned that without intervention, the situation could deteriorate further in certain areas, as over 2.6 million people were at risk of falling into famine. Nigeria's Victor Osimhen and Asisat Oshoala were each crowned African Footballer of the Year on Monday. For Osimhen, that's in a year in which he was the leading marksman in Italy's top division. The striker scored 26 goals as he helped Napoli to a surprise triumph.
I appreciate Nigerians for their support. I appreciate Africa for putting me on the map, for encouraging me, for defending me, regardless of my shortcomings. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I appreciate you all. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Barcelona forward Oshawala won the women's accolade for a record 6th time at the ceremony in Marrakesh.
Coming up on stage
She battled through injury to help Nigeria to round 16 of the World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. Nigeria also took the trophy for National Team of the Year in the women's category, Morocco in the men's. Morocco's Walid Regragui won Coach of the Year after a thrilling run to the World Cup semi-finals in Qatar. South Africa's Desiree Ellis won Women's Coach of the Year for the 4th time in succession. ECOWAS has set up a committee of 3 leaders to negotiate with Niger's military junta on a transition to democratic rule. That announcement was in a communiqué on Sunday after the West African Regional Bloc's annual summit. Here's ECOWAS President Omar Touré.
The authority will progressively ease the sanctions imposed on Niger. Failure by the CNSP to comply with the outcomes of the engagement with the committee, ECOWAS shall maintain all sanctions, including the use of force, and will request African Union and all other partners to enforce the targeted sanctions on members of the CNSP and their associates.
In July, Niger became the latest ECOWAS member to undergo a coup. ECOWAS responded with sanctions, including border closures and cuts to the power supply that Niger says has led to a shortage of medicines and food. The stated aim of the ECOWAS committee, comprising the leaders of Benin, Sierra Leone and Togo, is to agree with Niger's junta on a short transition roadmap and work towards the speedy restoration of constitutional order. Similar coups have taken place in Mali and Burkina Faso, spurred in part by frustrations over a spiralling jihadist insurgency in the Sahel region. But the juntas have appeared to be clinging to power, dragging their feet on negotiations and proposing 3 to 5 year transition timelines that regional bodies say are too lengthy. You meet someone through a dating app and arrange to meet in a public place. But instead of a date, you're forced into a car at gunpoint and driven to an abandoned building. That's what Tabzi Mabezane says happened to her in South Africa's Johannesburg.
He opened the door, and said to me, sit down, demanding me, and I sat down. And then, just 5 seconds, 4 men just enter. I'm shocked. The one just flew right into me, strangling me. And when they were strangling me, I screamed, and he told me, if you scream again, I promise that we will hurt you and will kill you.
Mabezane is a transgender woman and LGBT+ activist. Cases like hers are on the rise in South Africa, prompting a debate around how to protect dating app users from kidnapping and extortion. Police and activists say LGBT+ individuals are often targeted because of hatred and intolerance. Mabezane was among activists attending court last month for one prominent case. An 18-year-old kidnapped in Johannesburg after meeting someone on Grindr, according to police. He was later rescued, they said, and 7 suspects arrested. Virginia Magwaza, who founded Parents, Families and Friends of South African Queers, said they want to engage with Grindr around safety and improving verification processes.
Grindr will understand that this is a matter of life and death, right? It should not be about just profit making, right?
A spokesperson for Grindr said they were acutely aware of this deeply troubling situation and that they would continue to explore further solutions to this crisis with local partners. Grindr has integrated a number of safety measures, including a video calling feature, and South African users receive a daily safety warning. The South African Police Service says it has noticed a trend where perpetrators use social media networks, including dating apps. It has, as spokesperson said, arrested and taken down syndicates that were targeting the gay and lesbian community. One local security company has called for Grindr to be banned in South Africa due to an alarming rise in incidents. But some activists believe banning Grindr would only further marginalise the LGBT+ community. Marbezane said there's a problem with equality if only heterosexual people can use dating apps.